Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Do a quick sound check. We'll get into some of these top stories today. Today will be a Between the Headlines show today. Just getting caught up on all this stuff going on in the world, trying to stay current with what's going on and figure out what these people are up to. Now, the Bible says they shall seek death and not find it. And our top story today is another person comes back from the dead. Now, this is shaping up to be an entire story within itself. These people being pronounced dead and coming back to life. Now, some people say, well, this has always happened. Well, it's happening more frequently. You know, you used to be able to use Google and be able to do a search, count the number of, results in the search, and you could pretty much derive data from that and look at trends of things that have happened during certain time periods in history. Well, now that's not so easy to do anymore because Google and the whole search engine has changed. And all of the search engines have changed for that matter. There aren't really any good search engines left to look for these kinds of trends. But we have to now go by memory. And I've never heard of this many people pronounced dead and then essentially unzipping themselves from body bags. This is the third story in 3 weeks. There's that 33 number, right? Now, what remains unclear, because, in these stories, when they tell the story, they're not thinking of this in the context of anyone who got vaccinated. So we don't really know because they don't really tell us if these people were vaccinated or not. But we can assume that a large majority of the people, just because of the 70% that did get some kind of poker, that some of these people, there's a 2 in 3 chance that they were vaccinated. So you have to ask yourself, are the two connected? Now, I don't know the answer to that. But this is really weird. Now, this one happened in Clearwater, Florida. Florida medics suspended after dead patient found to be breathing. This story just released a couple days ago. Again, this makes 3 people emerging from body bags in the last 3 weeks. Now, what makes this story even more creepy is that this man died of cardiac arrest. Now, I know a lot of people have heart attacks, but there is some kind of trend happening. More heart attacks than usual. Perfectly healthy people having heart attacks. They're blaming it on COVID, saying it's myocarditis, and this is why we have a spike and an increase in heart attacks. But I have my own suspicions about what else might be causing it. Now, of course, the Bible also says that men's hearts will fail them out of fear. It appears to me that these are the beginnings of the fulfillment of biblical prophecy about the walking dead and people dying of heart attacks out of fear. Let's read this and see what's going on here. 2 Florida paramedics have been suspended after a man they pronounced dead was found to be breathing. On Wednesday morning, Clearwater Fire and Rescue sent 2 medics to a home in an unincorporated portion of Pinellas County for reported cardiac arrest. Medics pronounced a 65-year-old patient dead shortly after their arrival. Now, the previous story we did, the lady was 66 years old, so almost the same age. They left the area once the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office arrived to investigate the apparent death. Now, even the name of the county seems to hold spiritual clues. Pineal County. And that's what this is about, isn't it? The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is single or clear, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is dark, your body will be full of darkness. These were Jesus' words. I believe he's talking about the lamp of your body, the eye, the seat of the Holy Spirit, which is the pineal gland. Let's keep reading here. Largo Fire Rescue crews were then called to the home after a deputy discovered the man was still breathing. About 28 minutes elapsed between the initial call and Largo's medic's arrival. The man was taken to the hospital where he was still recovering from cardiac arrest. Often confused with heart attacks, cardiac arrest is an electrical problem, like an electrical heartbeat, and the heart attack is a circulation problem, like a blocked artery. Seconds after cardiac arrest, a person will become unresponsive and cannot breathe, or is only gasping. So, what is going on here is the question. Now, it's interesting they bring in this whole, medical explanation of what cardiac arrest is, because we know that there's something electrical in the nervous system of the people who got the sticker. And what if it appears as though the electrical impulses are turned off, but then they spark back? The undead. What if that is something that is happening here? Now they go on to talk about other people who were pronounced dead, who came back to life in previous instances. But this is creepy. Now we'll keep an eye on this, of course, make sure that there are no new stories that come out. There's something going on here, isn't there? Let me check them with you guys, and we'll get into these next stories. Now, as I always tell you guys, a lot of what we cover on this channel is from you. You guys send stuff in. I don't get to all of it, but I basically wait and to see what God has us leading to cover. And this next story was one that you guys sent in, because it relates directly into the 99 red balloons that we discovered in 2017. Well, apparently, Turkey has decided to commemorate the dead from the earthquake with red balloons. Now, okay, so big deal, Casey, they're just balloons. Well, why not a white balloon? Why not a yellow balloon? Why does it have to be a red balloon? Red signifies blood. Why would you send droplets of blood floating on air over the dead people? Someone told them to do this because it's part of the ritual. Let's read about what's going on here. This is creepy. So another 99 red balloons confirmed. A group of volunteers have tried to lessen the pain of the tragedy by fixing red balloons over the earthquake debris as a tribute to kids who lost their lives in the calamity. Remember, the it clown Pennywise would float on the dead gases of the children he killed in the sewer. Why would you use that as a symbol for dead children in an earthquake? Makes absolutely no sense. Let's read this. After the devastating earthquake struck Turkey and Syria on February 6th, heart-wrenching images and videos of the tragedy have been doing the rounds on social media. While many people were rescued, several lost their lives under the rubble. A group of volunteers have tried to lessen the pain of the tragedy by fixing red balloons over the earthquake debris as a tribute to kids who lost their lives in the calamity. Ogun Sever Okur, Balloons Project leader. Gosh. SOS. His acronym of his name scrambles to explain their gesture and says, I wanted this activity to be called my last present to children. We're still giving presents to children in Hatay, but we wanted to fulfill our last duty to these angels. We are carrying out this activity with balloons. Believe me, every time we tie a balloon, my heart hurts. We have tied 1,000 to 1,500 balloons so far, but will hopefully continue until we reach all parts of the city, until we reach every home of the children who lost their lives. Wow. So apparently 43,000 people have lost their lives in Turkey and Syria. 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Wow. Earlier this month, the Associated Press reported that a newborn was rescued from the rubble in Syria with her umbilical cord still connected to her mother, who was dead. So, what is a red balloon? It's a placenta with an umbilical cord attached to it. Just wow. So, we'll keep our eyes peeled on this. To me, this seems like some kind of ritual. and it's manifesting into our reality. Now, I wanted to do a follow-up from yesterday's show. We decoded the trailer to the upcoming Jordan film called Air. And basically, things have started to... actually, yeah, we'll put this story last here. Things have started to progress here with everything going on with Jordan. And he's come back into the limelight. A film's coming out. I think it's an anniversary of his I don't know, his retirement or whatever. But several of you had mentioned that there was more to the story behind Michael Jordan. A lot of stuff that I missed in yesterday's show. So I want to do a follow-up and just share that with you. Apparently, and I didn't know this, but Michael Jordan was called the Black Jesus. So, kind of confirms what we were talking about with the decode about the Jordan River, Jesus' baptism versus the bull of Egypt, which Egypt worshipped. And when you think about some of the metaphors for Michael Jordan, of him trying to compare himself to Jesus, of course, he walks on air. Jesus walked on water. And several of you sent in this image of this athlete here. Now, this is unbelievable. This is DK Metcalf. And look at the vertical jump of this guy. Play part of this here. Now, I'm going to stop this frequently. I don't know how YouTube feels about copyright, but behind him is a Twitch advertisement on this hedge or whatever. But as he jumps, the camera pans out and you see the word witch out of the word Twitch. Now, we're going to get into this a little bit deeper when it comes to Michael Jordan, because the last team he played for was the Wizards. These people are wizards and warlocks, but look at the vertical jump. This is not even real. Now, he tells the cameraman to throw the football very high. And I'm going to try to freeze frame this so you can see just how high he goes. This is shocking. This is DK Metcalf. Now, Bulls and Cavs Metcalf? Welcome to the Matrix, you guys. I'm going to try to freeze frame this. Look at this. I mean, now this guy has a vertical leap of 47 inches. But that doesn't even look real. This looks like some kind of a magic trick. How high he is off the ground. And then, again, in the background, you see the word witch. As they zoom in and freeze frame. Let's watch this one more time. Now, apparently, there's a lot of numerology that we missed surrounding Jordan's career. I hate to even call it numerology because that's not what we're really looking at. We're looking at numerical synchronicities. Numerology is something a little bit different. We're looking at numerical synchronicities that the enemy follows to basically wage sorcery and gain power. Let's watch this one more time. I'm just going to let it play through. This is shocking. I mean, that doesn't even seem possible. So let's dig into some more of this numerical synchronicity going on in Jordan's life. Now, what many people didn't realize is that Jordan was 6 feet 6 inches tall and won 6 championships. 666. He won 3 of those championships before his father died, and he won 3 after his father died. His father died on the 23rd day of the month. That's Jordan's number. And then Jordan retired in 1999, which is 666 upside down. But then he came back to play for the Washington Wizards. in the 2002-2003 season, which is another 23. Now, here's what a lot of people probably didn't realize. The letter W is the 23rd letter of the alphabet. So the last team that Jordan played for, the Washington Wizards, equals 2323. WW. So, Jordan, the athlete magician, confirmed. Now, if you look at the jersey that he wore, you'll see this little crescent moon, but it's actually a basketball above the eye. The Wizards there. And here's the team logo. Now, I don't know if this was the team logo when Jordan played in the 2002-2003 season, but here we are in 2023, all right? And this is the year they choose to make a film about him. The first autobiographical film of Michael Jordan in 2023, the number on his jersey. I think there's a connection here. Now, if you look at this logo, of course, it contains the Washington Monument here at the center, which is aligned to 88 degrees. But you can almost make out the 23 in this basketball. You have two elements at the top here, these two lines. You have a line there, a line there, and a line there. So you have 2, and then 1, 2, 3 in the bottom. You also have these 3 stars. And if you turn them upside down, if you were to turn this whole logo upside down, they would be Baphomets, wouldn't they? So I think there's something to this. Washington Wizards and Jordan's entire legacy. Now, there was a little bit more to that as well. Many of you had some really great comments in the comment section of yesterday's show. Check that out if you want to see more numerical synchronicities surrounding Michael Jordan and his career. But it's undeniable at that point. Now, these people, I'm sure they have their favorite numbers and colors and these things. But I think this goes a level deeper. I don't think Jordan just by chance chose this number 23. Now, let's get into some of these other stories today. I have an update. There's a new fire that's broken loose in a copper mine or a copper factory or something. We're going to break that down today, as well as several other top stories. Now, there is a troubling trend afoot amongst college students. They're mixing a drink that they are calling a BORG. Now, of course, we know BORG from Star Trek. It was the hive mind, and assimilating into the BORG hive mind. And I believe that this is more ritual stuff going on here. Now, what is a BORG? Well, they call it a blackout rage gallon, or BORG. And it's going viral on TikTok. And they basically fill this jug with half water, half alcohol, and a drink enhancer for flavor. So this is what's going on, you guys. This is things to look out for. Blackout rage. So obviously this is very troubling. It's also very dangerous. And these are the latest ritual things that they're putting out there to try to take down our youth. Now, of course, I think that this trend probably originated from the controllers to wage war on the already beaten down teenagers. And this is not a good thing. Now, let's get into this. The attack on Ohio. This dated February 20th out of Reuters. Apparently, people are smelling metal in the air in Ohio. This is the second, maybe even the third tragedy that has happened in Ohio. 14 people injured. Ohio factory scatters molten debris. And look at the scene in Ohio. It's clear to me there is something afoot here. Let's read this story. An explosion tore through an Ohio metals plant on Monday, scattering molten metal and debris that rained down on neighboring buildings and injured 14 people, mostly with burns. Blasts sent smoke billowing into the sky, could be seen miles around the damaged factory near Cleveland, 15 miles southeast of Cleveland. So, Oakwood Fire Department Captain Brian DiRocco addressed the media on scene, saying 13 people were taken to the hospital, many of them burn wounds, and one was being treated on site. Now, obviously, this stuff is going into the air. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of damage is this doing to the environment? You know, it's crazy. These people don't seem to care when their stuff blows up and when they spew stuff into the environment. But, oh, they're going to attack our gas stoves and our appliances. Right? So, this is what's going on. I'll put links to all this for you guys. And it appears to me that this might not be the end for Ohio. See, let's look at some of these pictures here. Look at that. Almost looks like Fukushima or something, huh? I know you can't really compare the two. Whoa. Debris sitting on top of that car. Just massive devastation. Wow. There's the fire. Now, there are a lot of other videotapes of the fire, but look at more plumes of smoke going in the air in Ohio. Now, let's get into some other energy news. Looks like the bottom has fallen out of natural gas. Now, this is a good thing in the short term. Might be time to fill up your propane tanks, right? But what does this mean for the future of natural gas? We already know that they're trying to do away with natural gas, which is about the dumbest thing that they could come up with. Anybody will tell you that you should have 3 or 4 different energy sources just for safety, just for flexibility in case of an emergency situation. You should never rely on just one single source of energy. That's a recipe for disaster in freezing conditions. When people can't leave their house because the roads are too icy, you know, you got to have 2 or 3 different backup. And I'm learning this just living in where I'm living, that you need a backup. You can't just assume the power is going to get turned back on. And even 24 or 48 hours with no power, your food goes bad. Things start happening. And so this is ludicrous that these people want to get rid of natural gas. It's just a dumb idea. And why they're gaslighting us and making us think that it's going to go away is a whole nother story. But basically they're saying that natural gas is like going to get back down to $2 a gallon, which is a really good price for propane and natural gas. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But it did spike earlier as BORG was selling a lot of this natural gas off to Europe to try to go against Putin. So that's what's going on with natural gas. Now, look at this MoneyWise article. They're now saying that electric vehicles cost more to fuel than gas vehicles. Let's read this article. Electric shock. A new study found that EVs cost more to fuel than gas-powered cars at the end of 2022. There are many reasons why drivers are moving toward electric vehicles. Money is one of them. While EVs can command a higher sticker price, they have the potential to save you money in the long term due to lower operating costs. But that simply isn't the case. Ownership costs for the most popular EVs on the market are under 50 grand, are many thousands of dollars cheaper than the best-selling internal combustion engines in their class. The report found typical savings ranging from $6,000 to $10,000. However, while EV drivers don't need to stop at the gas station, they do need to pay for electricity, and that's not so cheap these days. Now, we were telling you guys this, that once you put all your eggs in one basket and you basically go all in with electricity, and let's say the majority of America does the same, they can set the price wherever they want. And then the decades will go by and everyone will forget or lose the context of what it costs to fill up your tank with gas, and we'll only be stuck in the reality of the current prices of electrical vehicles and how much it costs to charge them, and everyone will forget. And next thing you know, charging your vehicle will be a much higher percentage of your spending per month, and everyone will just forget, and you become a slave to it. And then people won't be driving as much to save on energy costs. And this is exactly where they want us. They want us in these 15-minute cities, stuck, afraid to go anywhere, or not being able to afford to go anywhere because of energy costs, while they, the rich, can do whatever they want because they'll just pay to travel and go other places. This is where they want us. This is the electric grid. And this is very serious, because once they have this complete control, it's not even just about blacking out the grid. That's part of it. But the other part of it is setting the electrical price, the energy price, and which will be basically like you being in a prison, because you won't be able to go anywhere without paying money to go. And that's where all this is headed. This is why they want to shut down other avenues of energy. So, what else is going on in the headlines today? Here's an update on artificial intelligence. I like to keep track of this stuff, not because I believe what they're saying, but because we can get clues about where all this is headed, right? Business Insider. ChatGPT creator Sam Altman says the world may not be that far away from potentially scary AI, and feels regulation will be critical. Now, we've heard them say this before, pretending like they care about how much AI will take over, but really this is just pre-programming to prepare you for when it does take over. And they'll say, oh, we're trying to control it. We're doing everything we can. Things are set in place to control this in case it gets out of control. So this is just basically soft disclosure at this point. Let's read this. Sam Altman, CEO of ChatGPT, and I don't even know what ChatGPT is, but apparently it's some app or program, I don't know. Creator OpenAI warned the world may not be that far from potentially scary artificial intelligence, and said regulating it will be critical. In a series of tweets on Sunday, Altman said a transition to an AI-enabled future is mostly good and can happen fast, like the transition from pre-smartphone world to post-smartphone world. So they're embracing artificial intelligence and pretending like they're going to be able to control it. He cautioned society needs time to adapt to something so big as AI. We also need time for our institutions to figure out what to do. Regulation will be critical and will take time to figure out. Although current generation AI tools aren't very scary, I think we are potentially not far away from potentially scary ones. So, soft disclosure about the future of our reality. A scary artificial intelligence. Wow. Now, what else do we have here? This is an AP article. Healthcare workers are sick of the vaccine mandate and they want off the ride, don't they? Let's read this. Flowery City, Missouri. At Truman Lake Manor in rural Missouri, every day begins with the same way for every employee entering the nursing home's doors, with a swab up the nose, a swirl of testing solution, and a brief wait to see whether a thin red line appears, indicating a positive COVID-19 case. Only the healthy are allowed in to care for virus-free residents. Despite these precautions, coronavirus outbreak swept through the facility late last year. An inspector subsequently cited it for violating the federal government's COVID-19 vaccination requirement for healthcare facilities. Wow. So, people are sick of it. They're like, why are we still having to do this? But this is still being enforced at these healthcare facilities. The healthcare vaccination mandate is scheduled to run until November 2024, but some contend it's time to stop now, citing fewer cases of COVID-19 cases. The regulations are making it harder to give care, not easier, said Tim Corbin. So there's the update on people getting sick about these mandates, wanting this to end. Now, here's Bo Jive, apparently he snuck over to the Ukraine and is promising even more billions of dollars, despite the chaos, poverty, and economic situation in America. This is an AP article. Biden visits Ukraine ahead of the war anniversary. Kiev stands. And there he is, snuck over there. Now, there's a story inside this story. Apparently, Russia knew about this. Another clue that all these people are working together, right? Let's read this. President Joe Biden made an unannounced visit to Ukraine on Monday to meet with President Zelensky, a striking gesture of solidarity that comes days before the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of the country. Biden spent more than 5 hours in the Ukrainian capital meeting Zelensky at Mariinsky Palace, honoring the country's fallen soldiers, and meeting with U.S. embassy staff in the war-torn country. In his remarks with Zelensky, Biden recalled the fears nearly a year ago that Russia's invasion, blah, 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 right? Now, I don't think it's in here, but Russia kind of knew about this visit. People are just chilling in the palace, you know. It's interesting. Russia could end this war by bombing the palace, I suppose, but they choose not to. So, interesting times, you guys. Now, here's a funny story. Business Insider. Florida's climate exodus has already begun. It's only going to get worse. So this whole article, I'm not going to belabor this article for you guys, but this whole article is basically trying to say that life in the Florida Keys is over. That everyone's moving out because of climate change, because the water is rising, and these latest hurricanes are basically going to make the Keys disappear within the next few minutes. But the funny part about this article is down here in the comments section. Let me zoom down here. I started reading some of these comments, and I was like laughing because nobody is buying it. Fake news, right? And people are like, this is ridiculous. There are less hurricanes than there were years ago. This guy says the number and intensity of hurricanes is not getting greater for the actually getting less. The numbers are available. Both total number of Category 3 hurricanes have decreased. When you premise easily proven lie, and the rest of the article becomes pure nonsense. I guess part of it's cut off. That's why. But so people are agreeing with this. They get it. They know what's up. Media myths. And this should encourage you guys to know that this is all just hogwash. Now, what would be the purpose of them making up a story about the Florida Keys and claiming that everyone's moving out because they got battered by hurricanes and they don't want to live there anymore? Well, my guess is that it's the same way why places like California come under attack. They're trying to flush the toilet, get everybody out so the elite and the rich can come in and take the prime land and build their little enclaves and stuff and have everybody else move out. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. And the way they do it is through fear. So a person reads that article and they go, oh, I better sell my property before it's not worth anything anymore because of what's coming. And I could be underwater in 5 years. Or a big hurricane could come and a giant tsunami and take out my house. So they use that fear and they hit the reset button, and then the rich come in and they take up all the prime, beautiful land, or they turn it into some kind of reserve or preserve, and nobody can go there anymore. And this is what they're up to. Let's go back into the chat here. Those are pretty much the headlines that I had for you guys for today. Yes, gentrification, 1 of 5. Absolutely. Divide the land for gain. Donnet says, has anyone caught Putin's speech? No, I have not heard his speech. What was he talking about? Good morning, everyone. Hilda wants to move back to South Florida, but so far God hasn't approved. Yeah, Florida's actually increased, and it's the fastest growing state. And maybe that's what they're trying to scare people out of. They're like, oh, don't move there. Think politically as well. You know, as Florida gets more and more people, in terms of voting, it will have more voting power, right? Isn't there like, gosh, I've been out of politics for so long, I don't even know how it works anymore. But once a state reaches certain levels of population, it has more electoral votes or something like that, right? And they don't want that because all those people are right leaning, and they're going to have to make up more and more lies to say that the elections went a certain way. And they don't like to have to do all that work to convince us that an election turned out a certain way. They'd rather brainwash everybody to vote a certain way, and then they don't have to worry about it, right? So Redeem says there's a Trump speech tomorrow. That'll be interesting. Maybe we'll have to listen to that. Snowball says Florida is one of the places that still have people allowed in the future map. All right. Yes, extra seats for Congress. Yeah, now's the time to prepare. I was talking to my new friends about this. We were having a lot of really cool discussions about the state of the world. And we're like, you know what? Why did they put this negative label on people who prepare? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Isn't that what they tell us to do when something's about to happen? They're like, you should be prepared with da 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 da. But when we do it, all of a sudden we're preppers, right? Well, guess what? All throughout history, people were preppers. Noah was a prepper. The pioneers that came across the country were preppers. They had everything in their wagon with them, right? They had backup plans upon backup plans. They could live off the land. Why is that such an evil thing now? And so prepping is a lifestyle. It's just being an independent person, a rugged individual. That should be actually praised by the controllers, right? Because guess what? When you're a rugged individual, it's basically real-time consumerism. In other words, you don't go to a store to buy something that's costing a lot of money, that has changed hands multiple times to get to the store shelf, wasting all that efficiency and energy, chain of possession, I think they call it, and you're harvesting directly from nature, right? Or you're farming your own stuff and creating something out of nothing. You would think that that the controllers would love this for the environment. You're consuming less, but this is what exposes the controllers, because a person who's a prepper consumes far less and is much more efficient because everything takes energy. And the less efficient you are, the more energy that you have to use. So by default, as a person who lives off the land, you are very, very, very efficient, right? You're going to use less water. Okay. You're going to be prepared and better equipped to deal with cold conditions. So you're not going to be using as much to heat because you'll be used to the cold. And the list goes on and on and on. We could do a whole show on that. If you were to look at the footprint of a person who lives off the land versus the footprint of a person who lives on the grid, the person who lives on the grid is using a much, much more energy and is much, much less efficient in the resources that they use, right? You wouldn't see a prepper throwing away expired food out of a refrigerator, would you? Because that's value. They put a lot of work into that. So there's careful preparation, careful preservation, but the controllers won't recognize that. They want us to believe that there are limited resources in the environment, which breaks God's law of giving Adam dominion over the earth. They want to stand in the middle of that, interrupt that, take away our birthright, and they want to control it in their grid, which is much less efficient. I mean, case in point, electricity. It costs a lot more money to make electricity and then send it to people than it does for people to use natural gas, which is what's used to make electricity, right? Every time you change the energy, you're losing 10, 20, 40, 50% of the efficiency of that energy. So in other words, you have to burn a lot more natural gas to make electricity, to send it to a Tesla plant or a Tesla charging station to charge cars than you would to use that natural gas in the car to begin with and drive it around. They actually do have natural gas cars too, by the way. Or gasoline for that matter. So, this is the world we live in. Evil will be called good and good will be called evil. All of this was in the Bible. Now, I want to end today's show on a positive note, because everything that we just covered today, the source of all of this, all these revelations, and the wisdom comes from the Most High. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a believer in the Bible, believer in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and you should give your life to Jesus today. Accept the gift, the free gift of the gospel, if you haven't already. If you like this channel, the reason why you like this channel is because of him. He gets 100% of the credit. I would not have this gift without him. I would not have the love in my heart without him. And he's been knocking at your door for the entirety of the time that you've been watching this channel, waiting to come in. But you have to accept that gift. So I just want to extend that to everyone. And also let you know that I wouldn't be the person I am without him. Source of all love. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I've got multiple things that I'm looking at. I'm actually in the middle of the latest episode of The Last of Us. And they go out into the snowy landscape. They find an enclave, a commune of people surviving up in the mountains, free from the mold apocalypse, the fungus apocalypse. So I'll continue to decode that, capture any clips that I might find, and report to you guys tomorrow with another show. I love each and every one of you. Ted's on his way over here. I'm probably going to hang out with him tomorrow. But I'll have some kind of upload for you guys probably day after tomorrow. But we're going to do some fishing and camping at the cabin. Love you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care and be safe.